Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Here.
Commissioner Whitt.
Here.
Commissioner Vowles. Mayor Staten.
Here. First off, we have, I believe, a new employee to recognize. Is that right?
Yes, Dylan, do you mind to bring your intern up and introduce him, please?
I told them, so they might introduce you. I'm not sure yet. I didn't think about it in the new employee part. So this is Aiden Sussinera. I think I pronounced that right. He's you just finished your third year at Purdue, correct?
Yep.
So he's a civil engineering student. He just started with us yesterday, so we're excited to have him. He's from Santa Claus, Indiana, so he I guess that's about an hour drive for you every day. So we're fortunate to have him. We're going to try and get him involved in a lot of stuff. We got a lot of good things going on, and so I told him that one of my goals is just to get him as exposed to as many different engineering type disciplines as we can. So we expect good things from him this summer, and hopefully he'll enjoy his time with us. So
Good deal. Aiden, would you like to say anything to the commission?
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Nice to meet you too.
Welcome.
Yeah, well, welcome to we typically we've gotten into the habit of inviting all of our new employees up just to welcome them to the city of Henderson and to tell you how much we do appreciate you working for us and working for the city. And congratulations on your job, and hopefully you can turn that into some long-term gig down the road if you'd like to. We'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Looking
sir.
forward to it.
All right.
All right, next up we have a presentation from the Henderson Flash.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
So, as promised, I'm not asking for money.
Hey, thank you.
So, I held my word there. What we're coming from you today, and I appreciate the time, is to request a consideration for alcohol sales to be able to be at our home functions for the season. I'm in the process of finalizing an agreement with an individual here that is fully licensed and familiar with the processes and procedures expected that would be required, i.e. like we have at the festivals and stuff downtown. And
it's not me.
and it's not Rodney, that's correct. You know, and it is something that we don't take lightly. I know that there's a lot that comes with it, especially at the venue that we're at. But you know, I've been doing this for 7 years now. I feel like I've almost exhausted most of my available resources to be able to do anything that we can to increase the attendance, to keep this thing kind of growing and following kind of the paths of other organizations like ours across the country during the summer collegiate season. And I think where we're at now is this is kind of the natural next progression to be able to get us to a place to also be able to not only provide a continued extended experience for a vast amounts of our community, but also to hopefully get to a place to where we're more self-sufficient, to where, again, I'm not having to come in here and lean on you guys quite as much, and that's kind of where we're at with that. So.
I'm going to ask you one question, and I'm going to reserve some questions. We've got, just so everybody knows, we've got on our agenda something to consider later on to this regard. And so if you don't mind, it's not going to be too long before we have that. If you can stick around, just in case we want to call you back up and ask any questions. Sure. But for now, would you mind to explain to us, in your mind, what does that look like?
Okay.
Is it selling beer at a concession stand and people taking it to the stands, or what does that look like?
Yeah, no, so to keep into, I mean, we spend a lot of time growing a family atmosphere at our games too. So, and I, by all means, don't want to get away from that at all. So if this is an option and approved, we still want to treat it more as like a beer garden-ish. It's kind of similar to like how we have downtown. It would be a contained area. Would not be a situation where they would be able to travel with the alcohol. They'd have to stay within that area. The area that I'm visually, what I'm looking at right now would be between our dugout and our bullpen area, which would be down the right field line, where it's still convenient to the bathrooms and to the concession stand, but then in a manner of which it can be far enough away, because we have a kind of a picnic area that a lot of the families like to hang out in, and our concessions area and stuff. And so I want to be able to keep it separate, but then also be able to manage both areas too from a supervision standpoint.
Gotcha. And if it's okay with the rest of the commission, we're going to reserve the right to ask you more questions, but
Okay.
just to keep the meeting kind of organized, we'll wait until we have a motion on the table later on in the meeting and then call you back up if that's
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
Ah.
Next up, we have a Recovery Response Club of Henderson Stop Project presentation.
Well, I'm back, and I wanted to give an update on the STOP project. I know about 2 years ago, Nicole and Dale came and requested some funding through the opioid funds to help with the STOP project. They saw a need in the overdoses, and so that's when the STOP project came to fruition. So we've navigated the landscape of drug overdose, and our community as a whole has made incredible strides in the distribution and use of Narcan. Our overdose numbers that are being reported have gone down, which is a good thing. It's positive. Because we've equipped individuals with Narcan, and that's been a game changer in the fight against overdose. However, Narcan cannot save people alone, and it cannot solve the underlying issue of addiction. So in order to truly make a difference, we must invest in drug awareness and prevention programs that address the root causes of addiction. What the STOP project has been working on recently is we're doing education programs for the schools. We've been going into South Middle School. We've been contacted by North Middle School as well. We've been in some of the elementary schools as well as doing some freshman modules at the high school. I'm on the schedule to go do some professional development with the high school, with all of the Henderson County schools, just so that we can recognize what actions need to be taken, even from at a very young age all the way up through high school. And then also continuing on with our parent program. We have a parent program that we launched in March, and we're going to continue that as well. So we have another one scheduled for September. With the STOP funds, we've also distributed, in just the last 2 months, we've distributed over, I would say it would be about 600 doses of Narcan. And that number is kind of hard to expect to really give you an exact number of how much has been distributed, because we keep it in a box in the back, so the public can access it whenever, and we do refill that regularly. At the Tri-Fest, we gave away lanyards that had 1 dose of Narcan on it. That was very popular. We ran out of those very quick. And we've had a lot of traction as far as people contacting us to get help, or they just know where to go to find free Narcan. But let's see. I'm sorry. I have 4 pages here, and I'll give all of this to you. I'm trying to make this short as possible. But we have, so along with our education programs for the schools, the teachers, as well as our parents, we go into businesses and present to them as well. We've created 4 different commercials that are going out through social media right now. And it's just a step in that education process that we're doing with prevention and awareness. We're on the schedule for a summer safety event through Family Resource. So we're joining up with the Family Resource Center here at the Henderson County Schools. And we also are meeting with the high school counselors to develop a program to go for not just our freshmen, but to continue an ongoing educational process with our students. 11 every 11 minutes someone dies of an overdose. Fentanyl has changed the face of addiction. It has changed. It's been a game changer in the world of addiction. It's become more and more. It's become the drug of choice for people who have substance use disorder. There's no questioning or denying that. So I feel like our efforts with the Narcan and the opioid overdose awareness has been very well received in the community, and now it's just we're needing to take it up a notch and start on the education process, and really just not just talk to kids and parents, but to equip them with the information and the education that they need in order to have those open conversations about drug use. So I'm here asking, I'm actually presenting to request more funding for the STOP project to continue those efforts. And I actually have a proposal written up, and I can send it to you. I can tell you it all right now if you want me to, but I will email it to the city as well as to the county, and you guys can have your, just discuss what that opioid funding can go towards. And I'll break it all down for you as far as where, the numbers, give you the data for here in Henderson, and then let you in on where you're gonna see us more. So do you all have any questions for me?
Well, I'll tell you, if you don't mind to follow up with an email, that'd be great.
Sure.
We can't discuss if we're going to approve it today because it's
yeah.
going to be part of our budget process. But why don't you tell us just the highlights of what you're going to be asking for?
Okay, so the highlight, got that right here. Our highlights for the budget, I think last year, for the last 2 years, I think that the city and county have come together and they did 60,000. So what we did, we just put pencil to paper. I have it broken down into 3 sections. So one is personnel. Obviously, the program coordinator is a $60,000 a year, responsible for overseeing the program, coordinating activities, and liaisoning with community partners. So that's the total cost for personnel. Program and material supplies, which includes educational materials such as brochures, posters, pamphlets, classroom supplies for any of the workshops and presentations. The total materials and supplies cost would be $5,000 a year. And then outreach and community engagement, so events and workshops. So to put on those events and workshops, obviously you want to draw people in. So there are, refreshments and things like that we've funded. So that would be for the community events and school presentations. And then the marketing and advertising is flyers, social media promotions, the lanyards with the Narcan, community resource cards. That total outreach and community engagement cost would be $5,000. So the total annual budget would be $70,000.
Gotcha. In the last 2 years, you said the city and county have been splitting that in half.
They did 60,000.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And Warm has absorbed a lot of the overage, like the fringe and all the different things that we've not included into that budget, because obviously, 70,000 isn't enough to sustain a big program like what we're trying to do with STOP. But like I said, they will continue to absorb those costs as well.
Well, thank you. And we have a group called the City County Co-op that meets on a fairly regular basis. And anytime we go and partner with the county on something like this, we typically bring it up as an agenda item.
Okay.
So we'll see that this gets added to that next agenda for discussion.
Absolutely, and I brought literature just so you all have examples of some of the things that we have put out to the community. We have community resource cards that we give with each dose of Narcan. We also have those available where we've given them to the police department, fire department. We've gone around and made sure that those are canvassed so that if they do have to Narcan someone, or if someone is struggling with addiction, we can give them the local resources of inpatient, outpatient, MAT treatments, counseling, mental health, Casey's Law, you name it. It's on that card, so that's just a really easy access. And then I also have a STOP brochures just explaining what the STOP program does and how to get in contact with this and get the program into their business or their school.
Well, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for her while she's here?
Really
All right.
appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, really.
Thank
We
you.
all very much appreciate what you're doing, and thank you, and keep up the good work. And we'll take a look at what your request is and get back to you.
Absolutely. Do I just email it to you directly?
You can honestly mail it to our city manager. It'd be great.
Okay. All right. I can do that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, next up, we have a presentation from the Chamber of Commerce regarding fireworks. Clay, before you get started, on behalf of the
Yes.
City Commission, just wanted to congratulate you in your new role as president of
Thank you
our
very
local
much.
Chamber of Commerce. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks, Gels. Well, good afternoon. I am Clay Gillum, president of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce. We came to you all last year about this time with a very similar request, but for those who aren't familiar, the situation is essentially that DHP, which has been absorbed into the chamber, has been responsible for the 4th of July fireworks celebration going back many years. And last year, we talked about a reduction in sponsorship availability, and an increase in pricing. And we've just continued to see not only that same trend, but in addition to that trend this year, we have even further reduced sponsorships available and even further increased prices. So last year, our official request was for $9,000. We talked about the difference between what covered the fireworks initially was an $8,000 presenting sponsorship several years ago, and now that covers half or less than half of just the cost of the fireworks themselves. So, this is a free community service that we've been able to provide for several years. In addition to the fireworks, we have children's activities, face painting, music, a band, balloon art, different things like that to just make it an environment that people can come down and celebrate Independence Day with their families. We do also have ticketed events throughout the year to try and help offset costs for events like this. But when you're looking at the type of inflation over the period of time that we're facing, it really just doesn't add up to enough. And really, we're at the point where it's not feasible for us to move forward with the fireworks celebration if we're not able to receive additional funding. We are very, very grateful for the funding that the city supplies to DHP to help us annually. But that number is something that's been about the same for almost 20 years. And if you think about inflation and additional costs in that time, not to mention the additional programs that DHP has taken on and events, there's just been a significant gap for this particular event. And so our bottom line ask for this year is $10,000 to help fund the fireworks. Anything we missed?
I do want to point out that Clay and her team have had this sponsorship available for anyone in the community that would like to take it on, and it has been out there for some time and has not been taken as far as the title sponsorship goes, which again is significant and no longer covers the entire cost. And the chamber has procured smaller sponsorships. It's just not enough to cover the cost anymore that has doubled since COVID. So.
Clay, can you give us an idea of what kind of fundraisers DHP is going to have this year or has had this year?
So we have our Markets on Main, which we'll have again in the fall. We have the Dinner on the River event, which is a ticketed event. We have Porch Fest, which is not a fundraiser. That's another free community event. And then our Cocoa Crawl and Margarita Crawl that we do downtown to try and help drive business to downtown are all fundraising events that we do throughout the year.
Thank you.
Could you tell me, what's the total for the fireworks itself, the whole total?
For the event or
Yeah.
just the fireworks?
The fireworks.
Just the fireworks themselves last year were $15,000. We're expecting either that will increase this year or that we will say, let's keep the budget at 15, which will result in a little bit smaller show.
Well, one thing, I go to a lot of different cities, and when I'm in there, I know their budget's bigger, but for the kids, I think we should try to do our best for the fireworks, and even, I would like to fund it all. I think the city of Henderson should put on the fireworks. I just think we should do it for our kids. When you see them watching the fireworks, to give them that, and, I'm like, hey, we can give them something that they can remember, so they can tell I remember we went down the hills when I was growing up. Wow, we had big fireworks. I think it's important. So that's just how I feel.
Have we had any discussions with the county to see if they are interested in also funding the fireworks?
We have engaged in discussion. I can't say that we have a committed line item for that. They're open to the idea, but I think felt that it was more pertinent as a city event.
Gotcha.
I'll agree with Commissioner Brule. This is something that's kind of come up the last couple of years where it's just causing, more stress than it's probably worth for these nonprofit organizations to try to come up with the funding with sponsorships. It's I think in maybe a semi-normal thing for a city or government to put it on rather than somebody privately.
Yeah.
This probably needs to become a more regular thing for the government to do on a normal basis. But DHP, I did, we had a great deal worked out where we did have presenting sponsors covering it for a while. Unfortunately, that's just not happening anymore. So so it probably has become a more normal part of the budgeting process.
So another question I've got as we consider what we're going to do is of the fundraising events that you'll have, can you give us an idea of how much money you raise and where that money goes to benefit downtown?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, you know, DHB is up under part of the chamber now, so when you're looking at those budgets, in most ways, that's all under one umbrella now. Downtown, we do try and keep organized towards things like the downtown dog park project that we've recently undertaken, the hanging flower baskets that go downtown. But to be fair, it's also, we're a nonprofit, so it's to keep the doors open as well. It's to keep our staff available and to make sure that we're able to continue operating and providing those other free events for the downtown.
Gotcha. And what are now that you have ascended up, what are the plans for the new DHB coordinator position?
Slightly TBD. We'll be back within the next few weeks with a job rec out for that fourth position. What exactly that will look like is a little bit to be determined. We want to make sure that after having had DHP merge into the chamber, we're cognizant of what the future of the organization looks like with both of those together.
Gotcha. Any other questions?
And what about, I mean, taking on as a city as like a presenting sponsor? Or see if we get the county to jump on board.
I like that idea, yeah.
Presenting sponsors, both the city and the county.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Makes sense to me.
Just something to
Something positive.
let people know the city is doing, you know, the city does care about this.
Yeah. I think what I'm hearing from the commission is we have an appetite to help. Let us figure it out.
Okay.
And then we'll make sure that we get a response to you before the end of the month because we know that, July 4th is coming up on us.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. We're very grateful. Thank you all for the time today.
Thank you.
Have a great fireworks.
Next up, we have a presentation from the Henderson County High School Leo Club.
Hello.
Hi.
So originally I had a slideshow presentation. I'm not going to be able to show it because I don't know how. But I have the picture for us. And my name's Alyssa McIlvain. I'm a member of the Henderson County Leo Club. And I've created this presentation along with the rest of the group because we have a yearly environmental project. And this year it's a little bigger and it needs to be talked about. And just for a little background, LEO stands for Leadership, Experience, Opportunity. And our 5 focus areas are hunger, childhood cancer, diabetes, vision, and environment. If you've ever heard of the Henderson Breakfast Lions, that's our sponsor. And as a group, our top priority is serving the community. This year, our environmental project, you're not going to be able to see it very well. But this is the picture here. This is a storm drain inlet. And right here it says the sea starts here, don't litter, and it's painted. And as you probably know, most of the waste we discard probably ends up outside in the ocean and stuff like that, and not even to mention the waste that goes into our Ohio River from our town, which is our water source. And way too often, storm drains are just seen as this little hole in the ground that you can like throw your stuff in. And with Tri-Fest happening, and with, like she just said, the fireworks where we gather everyone in one place, there's always a bunch of litter afterwards. And I think having something like this that's just simple and easily visible is going to make people more aware of what they're doing. Like, they're not just going to look at it and throw it directly in. And it's also pretty easy to visualize. And since it's like youth doing it, I think it shows it's a better way to get people together, because you're going to have a groups of painting and stuff like that. And since the end of the school year is right around the corner, and obviously we're going to be out of school as a club, I wanted to acknowledge that it seems like we don't have a lot of time to get this done, but we're open to extending it into the summer because we actually really do care about this project and this environment. And along with the slide presentation I was going to have, I talked to Mr. Bowles at the Henderson Water Utility already, and I had some images of the drain inlets from around the street. I think it was 2nd Street, definitely, where the library is. Atkinson and Madison and Bailey, somewhere down there is where it was going to be. And I picked those 3 locations in particular because I think it'd be good and it allows our work to expand from just one concentrated area. How downtown we have all these advancements and it's really pretty down there. Then we have other parts of town that they need some love too. And I think it'll help more people feel acknowledged and also show that pollution doesn't just come from any one area in the city. And then why? Well, again, one of our core focus areas as a club is environment, and an immersive project like this will not only be a perfect way to show what we're about, but it will also help us expand as a club and be better. We have Leo Club at school, and we also have environmental clubs and other students that are willing to get this rolling. And I think it's a great way to set the example that anyone, like even as a student, has the power to impact their community. We would be honored to also just be a part of the advancements that Henderson's making. We're not necessarily asking for anything monetary, but with a project like this, it would kind of be ironic to use the wrong kind of paint outside of the drain and then have it go down the drain. So we're looking for guidance. We need to know the logistics, like one, if this is going to work, if this is in line with what you guys want, and things just like switching the placement, if location A works, location B doesn't. And so with this, we're all delighted to even get this opportunity and come here, and I'm looking forward to it no matter what's to come. If we have to resort to chalk, so be it. I'll do it. But I'm just really interested in seeing like the logistics, like what we can do with this. And if you want to see the picture closer, I can bring you my thing.
So can you describe a little bit more detail about exactly what you're wanting to do?
For the storm drain inlets, we're wanting to get a group of kids together and maybe meet a couple times a week to paint the little picture. And I have like another thing that we would need to know is like, are we going to have this like blocked off so that we're not just in the road during the day painting? We're wanting to, basically we meet on Thursdays of the month, so we would transition from school to summer on Thursdays, meet downtown Thursday to paint.
Well, our city manager spent a year, he took a year's vacation away from the city to spend it as one of the lead project engineers over at the water utility.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to defer to him in terms of whatever comments or questions you might have about this project.
I think it's a great idea. Number 2, regulatory-wise, this won't mean anything to you, but it's called MS4, which is a U.S. federal regulation to keep our waterways clean.
Mm.
This project would count toward our MS4 plan. So I think it's a great idea. I would support this ideal, and I will commit staff to working with the Leo Club to help get this facilitated and get it done. On the technical side of the paint, we have paint suppliers that can provide that expertise. We've been down that road before, so it's not going to be difficult to do. And we realize your time is short, so if you could contact me tomorrow, then we'll get the appropriate parties together. But safety is number 1, and we can go from there.
Through email? Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
We'll give it. That young lady sitting on the front row will give you my email address.
Could you just run that picture up here? So we can look
Yeah.
at it closer?
That's gonna be nice.
Can I say it to him?
Something a little,
Might want to, yeah.
make you a little environmentally conscious as you.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, I couldn't see it from back where, so
That's
now
our-
I
that's
know
our
what you're
goal.
saying, okay. That's cool.
So,
That is
I can
nice.
see it.
Yeah, oh, sorry, you got those young eyes over there, look at you.
I like the idea. It's
Wow.
not quite as in your face as those new signs at Evansville, but
I think it's
Have you seen
genius.
those?
I mean, you're taking something ugly and
yeah.
it's an eyesore.
Yeah, it's
Or
really-
something
it's
you
really
pay
nice.
attention to, yeah.
You know what, and thank you both, and your entire club for bringing this to us. A lot of times people ask us to do stuff that it's a lot more helpful if we have volunteers who are willing to do the work, and then we can just help coordinate those activities. And so I'm just excited that you all have picked out something that's going to be meaningful for the city, and it looks like a really nice project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great work.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
work. Thank you.
All right, last up on the presentations part, we have a presentation from Animal Control with Melinda Whitlock.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me. I am, if you don't know, I am Melinda Whitlock. I'm the Director of Animal Control at Humane Society. I'm here to report some quarterly numbers for animal control. I believe it's been a while since you've had a director that has come and given you a report, so I feel like it was long overdue. I just want to go ahead and throw some numbers out first. Then I'll go over a few things with you, and then you can ask me some questions. So these are the numbers from January 1st to the end of March. So this is the past quarter. And I would like to come and bring you a quarterly report every quarter, if that's okay. So for this time period, we had 7 abandoned, 7 aggressive, 140 animal at large, which is our biggest issue, is animal at large in the city and in county. We had 1 animal left in a vehicle. We had 18 bite cases. We had 1 breeder license with breeder inspection, 1 breeder breeding without a license, 1 count of cruelty, 3 counts of emergency boarding, 7 counts of follow-up, which is where we have had a neglect or welfare check from our 44 welfare checks, where we have been back to follow up for the worst ones that needed to be checked up and make sure they were following ordinances. And 5 noise complaints and 14 sick or injured or possibly deceased animals. And of the 140, which is the animal at large, which is kind of an issue here, we actually ended up bringing 53 of those to the shelter and brought them in as our intake. 36 of those were returned to the owner. So a lot of the times with the animals, we will have previous record of where they live, whether it's through their city county tag purchase, their rabies shot purchase, the rabies shot, sometimes it has on there the vet that gave them a rabies shot. So in our system, every time we get the animal, we put everything in so we know if that animal gets back out, then we know, okay, this is so-and-so's dog, we'll take it to their house. If they're home, they can retrieve it right then they don't have to come to the shelter and pick it up. So the running at large is probably the biggest issue that we have. 140 cases in 3 months, that's a lot. So that's kind of what my officers generally do a lot, is chase down animals. And we have, I did consult the city about putting in a microchip ordinance. That's not something everyone's a fan of. That's something that everyone would have to think about. Of course, we do try to push the city county tags. Everyone who comes in, everyone who adopts, everyone who gets their animal picked up, everyone who gets their animal returned to them. We say, okay, you got 10 days to bring us proof of rabies shot and buy your city county tag. And that's a lot of how we keep track of, who we return the animal to. We also, back a few months ago, Jordan Webb got with me with the new ordinances the city passed. We have been trying to enforce those as best we can. We've been trying not to come off as very stern. We're trying to come off and be like, are you aware there's new ordinances? Because we don't want to go out there and just start writing citations to everyone. We want to say, did you know there's this ordinance? We need your proof of rabies tags and your city county tag within 10 days, just trying to get the community educated on that subject. Because a lot of it, there's a lack of education when it comes to, did you know that this animal has to be on a leash? Because for a long time we had just the care and control, where you could have a free range animal as long as it was obedient, as long as it was retrievable. If you told that animal to stop, it just sat. But we everything in the city now needs to be on a leash. So a lot of people are unaware of that. So we have definitely tried to educate people on that matter. We have a complaint from a lot of citywide about the cats, the feral cat issue. There are parts of the city that have several feral cats. So what I have been doing is I have been applying for TNR grants. Does everyone know what TNR is? Okay, it's a trap neuter release or trap spay release. Basically, we have several traps, and actually we have some rented out right now to people that are in that situation. And so we will trap the cat, we will take it to one of the local vets, they will spay or neuter it, we will release it back out. When it's spayed and neutered, its ear is clipped. So that animal can be identified even though you can't catch it. You can say, okay, I see the ear clipped, I know that that animal has been spayed or neutered. And so that's what we are trying to get grants approved for. With about $1,200, we can do about 10 cats, spay or neuter. And that also includes giving them a rabies shot, because if we have them already, we should give them shots. So I'm roughly apply for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 grants a month, because it's not a lot of money. It's just we need to keep it constant so we can get a handle on this issue. Let's see. I'd just like to thank you for your support. Right now, we have received the funding for the truck, and we are so excited and thankful for that. There is absolutely no fun when you go out in the middle of the night and you get stuck in the mud, because you have to go someplace off-road that an animal is trekked to. So having an extra truck is going to be phenomenal, something that will not get stuck. We're in the process of getting the lights, labels, everything else for that truck, and including the dog box, which I know is kind of costly but is very necessary. We do have a small box we're going to be using for the new truck, but once we get the larger box, that will have us all set. So thank you all very much for supporting that effort. My officers were going to come with me today. Unfortunately, they are off working, so sunrise sunset. I do have a request from the board president. I believe you guys know her, Stacy Cook McCord. She wanted to request that the trees behind our outdoor kennels be cut down. I noticed lately as it rains, the trees are just leaning further and further in, and we need them to not fall into any outdoor dog kennels. I believe she said this has happened before, but it's been quite some time. We did have some tree limbs come and cut off, but we actually need the trees that's close to the kennels completely removed, just so we don't have any fall in and any animals hurt. I was very, very worried about it with the last large storm that we had through. I stayed up all night watching the cameras to make sure everyone was okay. I woke up a couple of times in the middle of the night thinking, I need to check and make sure they're all right. But luckily, it was all fine. It did really well with all the limbs that had previously been cut down, so that was really nice. And then she also wanted to ask if we could get a load of gravel. She said it has been many years, but our whole back section was gravel just for drainage issues, because it was just set on the grass and the mud. And you can see where it was gravel underneath at one time. She said that the city had provided a dump truck full of gravel, and then we had just went in and kind of spread it around so the drainage drained properly. So she was asking for that as well. And then that is all I have. You guys have any questions for me? Anything you want me to address?
Any questions?
Yeah, how many officers do you have that go out? Say, like, I make a call. How many, like, during the day is on duty?
During the day, I usually have 3. There is occasion we will only have 2. Depends on if we have a training to go to. We've been participating in the Illinois Welfare Federation for free training in McCracken County. So when I send officers out for that, that diminishes us down to 1 or 2 officers. I participate in animal control, so if it gets to that, I will go myself. We usually have 3. Like today, I have one out sick, so it's 2. I have 3 hired.
What about, say, for instance, you pick up a dog, and tell me, how does that work? Like, if you go out and pick up a pit bull and you take it to an animal shelter, tell me, how does that work? And then when you take it back to the owner, how many times do you take it back to the owner before something has to be done? Because in my neighborhood, during the summer, I guess during the summer, it seems like the pit bulls are just, everybody's letting them loose.
Yeah.
And sometimes I call and the guy comes, sometimes he don't. But whenever he comes, it seems like he takes it back. He knows where the dogs are getting loose at. But how many times do you have to do that before a kid gets bit or something, before we do something?
Okay, so under my watch, we have done a 1 rule, and that is that we go and pick the dog up first. If we know where it belongs, we take it back to the owner and say, okay, so this is your warning. This is your only warning. You will be cited and go to court the next time this dog is running at large. In the event we do not know where the owner is or who the owner is, it comes back to the shelter. We process it as an intake, it gets all of its shots, and then we hold it and we post it on Animal Control Facebook, and we wait for an owner to come claim it. They have 5 to 7 days to claim it. At that time, if it is not claimed, it's turned over to the Humane Society. Now, in the event of whether the owner picks it up, whether we take it back or not, in both cases, they have 10 days to get us proof of rabies and buy their city county tags. So whether we take it back to them, they come and get it, it gets city county tags either way. If it does become part of the Humane Society, it goes into like a health check, rehabilitation. Is it adoptable? Can we work on it and make it adoptable? Do we need to get it to a rescue? And that's all Humane Society stuff. But that is what we would do. We do try to go on calls as soon as they come out, especially dispatch calls. I give the officers 10 minutes to make the dispatch calls. If you miss a call, you got 10 minutes to call them back before I write you up. I'm very big on, if it's an emergency, we need to be there for the community.
Just to refresh me, the facility where animal control is that actually city property?
The city owns the land, but the Humane Society owns the building.
Yes.
That's why the maintenance requests are coming.
To the city.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is there a similar request made to the county on tree cutting and gravel?
I can put up a proposal and submit it to both if you guys would like to discuss it. I have no problem with that at all. I can absolutely do that.
Suggest that if you don't care.
Absolutely. I have no problem with that.
I'm not saying this because we haven't had a presentation in a while, but that was one of the most impressive
Yes, it
animal
was.
control presentations I've ever heard in my entire life. I got to say, the last couple of months, you all have been consistently staffed, and when I don't hear anything about animal control, usually that is a good thing. And I have heard some things about animal control, and they've all been good things, and they've all been about you.
Oh, thank you,
And
sir.
so
Thank
thank
you,
you for the job that you're doing, for running a good ship out there and making it an entity that we're proud to support at the city level. So
That is my
yeah,
goal.
keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Anything else?
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is we have a consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of the minutes of the, excuse me, of the April 23rd, 2024 regular meeting, resolution number 19-24, resolution approving human resources report dated May 14th, 2024, resolution 20-24, resolution authorizing acceptance of grant in the amount of $101,203 for the United States Department of Transportation, Federal Aviation Administration to Henderson City County Airport for runway extension and road relocation, and authorizing the mayor to execute all necessary documents. Municipal Order 39-24, municipal order approving agreement for electrical inspection services between the City of Henderson and Damian Young doing business as DY Inspections LLC, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. And Municipal Order Number 40-24, municipal order amending Municipal Order Number 29-24 with a revised property lease between the City of Henderson and Allstate Tower Incorporated for property located on 5th Street, and authorizing the mayor to execute the lease on behalf of the city.
Before we get a motion, are there any items that a commissioner would like to pull for further discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve, please?
So
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. Next up, we have a second reading of an ordinance pertaining to motor vehicles.
Ordinance number 18-24, ordinance amending Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles relating to parking. An ordinance amending Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 2, Parking, Stopping, and Standing, Division 1, generally repealing Section 22-53, removal of chalk marks used for enforcement of parking violations prohibited, and Division 2, Parking, repealing Section 22-63, evading time limitations prohibited, adding a new Section 23-63, Excuse me. Disabled parking, revising section 22-64 fines, revising section 22-66 residential parking permit, article 3 trucks, revising section 22-113 parking generally, and chapter 25 waterways, article 2 2nd Street boat watercraft trailer parking facility, division 2 boat watercraft trailer parking permit, revising section 25-33 penalty of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson.
I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any comments, questions, suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles? Mayor Staten?
Aye. Before we move on to the first readings, is there anyone in the audience today who has an item they wish to bring before the commission that is not on the agenda? Hearing none, we have a first reading of an ordinance pertaining to Parks and Recs and special events.
Ordinance number 19-24, ordinance amending Chapter 17 Parks and Recreation relating to special events with alcohol. An ordinance amending Chapter 17 Parks and Recreation, Article 1 in general, Section 17-2, possession of alcoholic beverages prohibited of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Clay, do you mind to come back up and join us at the front? So you went over it in pretty good detail earlier. I wanted you to come back up because I'm sure we might have a few questions for you. Does anybody have any questions for Clay regarding the alcohol with the flash game?
Well, I just want to state that you'll have to have somebody with approved license to apply for the state license to get it, so they've got that already. So it's not like Clay's going out there and getting some 21-year-old kid to serve. So they're going to be star trained, they're going to have to go through all the hoops that the ABC requires. So it's not some whim that they're doing, they've really put a lot of thought into this.
Before we take a vote, I know Commissioner Thomas mentioned that the vendor that you're wanting to use is not him. Just wanted to confirm that the vendor you're going to use is not a member of the city commission at all, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we're comfortable voting on this issue and not having to recuse ourselves. Buzzy had some comments or suggestions he wanted to make about the exiting traffic from the games should we pass this ordinance. Buzzy, you want to?
So Clay, you would file for a special event. And part of that process, we will place conditions with regard to that. And one of the biggest concerns right now, we have adults playing ball on one field, we have youth playing on the adjoining field, and in between is a road. And probably part of the approval process, we will ask that the flash close that road due to the fact that a lot of kids are running on that road, okay? And they dart between vehicles, and we just want to keep this situation as safe as possible when you have your events. Now, we realize not every event there'll be a youth baseball game, but we will make that part of our requirement for approval.
Now, you're talking about the
cut-through.
cut-through road?
Yeah,
in
just
between
the cut-
two
yeah.
fields? Okay.
That would create a situation where all the traffic flows in one direction instead of merging.
Yeah, all the way around the
Yeah.
outside and not through the middle?
Yep.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
It probably should have been done a long time ago.
Yep. We're doing it now as part of the approval process, as long as that's okay with the commission, okay with you.
Yeah, so just to clarify, all games? Just go ahead and shut it down, all games? Or do we want to leave it open? Or is that only if they're also nights they're playing?
It will be conditional on when there is 2 games going on.
Okay,
That sounds reasonable, I think.
not a problem.
And you already went over, it would be a separate garden kind of area where
sir.
you could not take alcohol out of that garden area. Commissioner Thomas covered earlier the fact that the vendor will be star trained. In case the people in the room do not understand what that means, basically they go through another level of training to make sure that the people that they are serving, they're serving responsibly. And that people are not overindulging, that people are of age, and that they follow all the appropriate protocols and safety protocols associated with serving alcohol.
That's a part of being a licensed venue or you're responsible for that. So whoever's gonna be in charge of it, they're responsible for that, and their license is on the line if they screw up,
Right.
so.
And I would add too, and I think it probably goes without saying, but I think we also need to have an understanding that no promotions or promotional items or anything need to be based or alcohol-related going forward or anything like that, you know.
Okay.
But other than that, I think we have all the information that we need to vote on it. Is there anything else that you would like to offer to us from an informational
Well,
standpoint?
kind of piggyback a little bit on what Commissioner Thomas brought up was, as part of the agreement, that I'm finalizing here with my vendor is that, we're going to have initially temporary fencing. At some point, it'll be permanent. We're working on a permanent area that will also be some sort of a deck area that will be able to be contained a little easier. But in the meantime, we are working on having some form of temporary fencing. They're going to have employees there, everybody that will be carded before they can enter. We're actually going to band them, so there's no misunderstanding, no stamp. No, I mean, it's going to be visible for everybody to see when they come in to make sure that there's not any, issues along those lines too. So we're trying to cross all our T's, but definitely always open to suggestions and anything that can make it a little bit more smoother and safer for everybody.
Good deal. Any other questions or comments?
When does your season begin?
Opening night is May 31st.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask them after you sit down if there are any other questions or comments, but thank you for coming back up and
Appreciate
explaining
it.
that.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any other comments or questions from the city commission?
I mean, I think it makes, I'm perfectly fine with it. I think they've done a really good job over the last, 7 years? Of being really engaged in the community, seeing their players out all summer. I think they give back a ton to the community, a ton to our youth, and they've created a good family atmosphere, and I'm sure it'll be the exact same, except even better. So appreciate all of y'all's commitment to the community.
Yeah, they do this in Du Bois County at the Bombers games, and it's been a real, their attendance is outstanding, so hopefully this can boost attendance.
And the games are just really fun. And the park is good, the team is good. Thank you for bringing this element, not the alcohol, but the team to Henderson. We appreciate it. Yes, sir. If there's nothing else, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Thomas,
I'm going to abstain just in case somebody thinks there's a conflict of interest.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Witt,
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have a first reading of an ordinance pertaining to traffic and motor vehicles.
Ordinance number 20-24, ordinance amending Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles relating to limited free parking. An ordinance amending Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 2, Parking, Stopping, and Standing, Division 2, Parking, Section 22-62, Limited Free Parking of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson.
Do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance amending the 2023-2024 budgeted positions.
Ordinance number 21, sorry. Ordinance number 21-24, ordinance amending portion of City of Henderson budget. Ordinance amending City of Henderson budgeted positions and job classifications of the 2023 through 2024 budget for certain non-hazardous positions in the Parks and Recreation Department.
Excuse me, do we have a motion?
I'm catching.
I think so. Do we have a motion to approve? Commissioner Thomas is first. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance pertaining to potable water.
Ordinance number 22-24, ordinance accepting public improvements. Ordinance accepting public utility improvements, potable water and stormwater system on property located on Barrett Boulevard in the city of Henderson.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order for cutaway buses and other items.
Municipal order number 41-24, municipal order awarding bid for purchase of two 2024 or newer 16x2 cutaway buses in the amount of $278,552 or $139,276 per vehicle, and one rear-loading 2024 or newer Ford Transit wheelchair van in the amount of $76,168 to Tesco Sales Corporation of Oregon, Ohio.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments, questions, suggestions?
Do I read that right? Nothing? No direct cost to us?
Yep.
Sweet. Nice job.
I'd love it if everything we voted on cost nothing. That would be fantastic. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order approving sports complex change order.
Municipal order number 42-24, municipal order approving change order proposal request PR number 42 to the construction agreement with Art Construction Company Incorporated of Evansville, Indiana for construction of the Henderson Sports Complex on Airline Road in an amount of $50,461.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is Dylan here? Yeah, Dylan, do you mind to come up? The reason I'm calling up Dylan is he told me the story behind this change order this morning, and I thought it was pretty compelling. Do you mind to share with
Yeah.
the rest of the commission?
Yeah, so real quick, when we originally bid the project, we did not anticipate a fully commercial kitchen in there. So there was not going to be a griddle, a stove, an oven, any of that. And since we have hired our third-party consulting company who's helping us with the operations, they strongly recommended that we upgrade to a fully commercial kitchen. They're based on their historical data. You know, they run these complexes all over the country. And on a busy tournament day, the difference between what they call a prepackaged concession stand, which sells, you know, just nachos and cheese, maybe some hot dogs and hamburgers outside, but the difference between that and having a concession stand that can, you know, have French fries, chicken tenders, a whole wider array of offerings. The difference in revenue and gross revenue for a single day can be as much as $9,000. So, and that's gross revenue, so that doesn't include your expenses. But it's a difference between $15,000 a day for a full service concession stand versus $6,000 a day, I guess.
25% less waste
Yeah. So
thrown away.
And the opportunity to bring back Starlight Chicken.
Yeah, you don't have, you won't have.
yeah, so $9,000. The potential on a busy tournament day for the difference of $9,000 gross revenue. Obviously, I take expenses out of that, but in short time, that will kind of pay for itself. And I will mention it was in the memo, but this is just the cost for the upgrades that our contractor needs to make. So they've got to install the gas lines, they've got to upgrade the electrical. We have money in the current operating budget for the sports complex in capital to go ahead and buy like the griddle, the fryers. Mark Simmons actually already gotten quotes for that. So if this gets approved, we will proceed with ordering that. And there may be a few other costs associated with it, but in our opinion, it's definitely worth it to capture that additional revenue.
It was me, Mark, before you order that. Thank you.
Good deal. Did we already got a motion, didn't we? I thought we did. Any questions or comments for Dylan or anybody else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. I think we have 4 items on the city manager's report. Buzzy?
First item, Trace, do you mind to come to the podium and give an update on the upcoming swimming pool event that you plan for every year?
Sure. I don't mind to come to the podium. I wish I could come to the podium with a rousing, successful thing, but I will tell you that we are currently struggling to recruit lifeguards for the Atkinson pool. We started in January with our recruitment efforts, and in that time we've recruited old lifeguards, we've attended job fairs, We have utilized social media. We've even gone so far as to change some of the job duties to require fewer lifeguards and using some of our cashiers to do some of the duties that lifeguards have done in the past, but they're not necessarily required to do so. And we've even entered into a real great cooperation with the YMCA to host lifeguard recruitment events at the YMCA, where you could go to the YMCA, somebody that was interested in being a lifeguard, do the testing and the lifeguard skills class. Park staff were there to provide applications, interviews, and really, if somebody was interested in being a lifeguard, we had a one-stop shop set up for them at the YMCA over 3 occasions. But even with all of our best efforts, we are still short to fully open the Atkinson pool on this Saturday, Memorial Day weekend of 25th. With that being said, we still do have enough lifeguards that we can open the Atkinson pool. We just will not be able to open the baby pool portion of it or the water slide portion of it. But we can still offer the Atkinson pool the Memorial Day, Saturday, Sunday, and Memorial Day of that weekend. So we've come up with an alternate plan that will allow us to do that. And in the meanwhile, we're still recruiting lifeguards. We've still got several lifeguards going through the hiring process. Our hiring process involves a lot of third-person requirements, from state background checks to drug tests that make it where we're not willing to be flexible and to bring someone in to be a lifeguard and overlook the safety of children if we have to skip corners or safety corners. So we're still struggling, but we are still recruiting lifeguards. We still have some in the pipeline. And as we recruit more lifeguards and we bring them through the process, we're able to offer more and more amenities at the Atkinson pool, as well as more and more hours. Currently, with the lifeguards we've got, we feel comfortable that we can safely operate 5 days a week. We're normally used to operating 7 at the current time. That would put our first week a little bit different, operating the Atkinson pool Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of Memorial Day weekend. Then we would take 2 days off, Tuesday and Wednesday, for staff to regroup and refresh, and then come back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then be off again Sunday and Monday, and then start a regular schedule at the Atkinson pool of Tuesday through Saturday. We chose Sunday and Monday as the days to be off initially because Sunday is our least attended day, and then Monday would give us a day where facility maintenance and other full-time staff would have the opportunity to perform maintenance on the pool in a regular scheduled way while we wouldn't have to bring people in on overtime. And it also gives our short staff that we've got, it allows us to schedule them 5 days on and 2 days off. We are excited that we get to open the pool again this summer. We had some weeks where we were, it was kind of a coin flip what we could do or what we couldn't do. We've got staff that are willing to go the extra mile to get the pool up and running this next week for the Memorial Day weekend. We will be able to open the pool, and as staff comes on a little later in the summer and goes through the hiring process, we'll be able to offer more and more and more. But we're not going to be open unless something miraculous happens before Memorial Day weekend. Unfortunately, we won't be able to open fully, but we will be able to open and allow people to come into the Atkinson pool and enjoy it on Memorial Day.
But not the baby pool, right?
No.
Or the water slide,
Or
at
the
least the
water.
initial weekend is what he had said.
Mhm.
Dawn, I have a question. Dawn, I have a question. Sorry. You would more readily know the answer to this question, and I don't know if we're way off base or not, but I know we have certain rules that we have to abide by in terms of what we can do to compensate employees. I have thought for many years that we underpay our lifeguards. And I know that we can raise the salary anytime we want to or whatever, but is there something that prohibits us from offering some kind of incentive outside of hourly pay for lifeguards, for seasonal employees? I mean, I'll tell you why I'm asking directly. If we were to offer the same hourly rate, but then offer, if you work a minimum of 200 hours as a lifeguard at the pool, you get a $500 scholarship to go toward college. If we did something like that, is that legal?
I would have. Is we're not allowed to do bonus.
Right.
That's clear.
Right,
So
but-
I don't know if that would count for, would that be a training?
I don't know, we're just wondering if we could,
I'd have to look.
because what we're doing now is not working, and I don't believe it's because of the Parks Department, because everybody's struggling to get lifeguards. And so what that tells me is, a few years ago, we almost had to shut the thing down for a season, and that's when we changed it to allow 15-year-olds to be lifeguards. And so I don't mind the opportunity, the idea of doing something a little different. And if our main audience that we're trying to recruit are 15, 16, and 17-year-olds, I think it makes a lot of sense that if we're not going to raise the pay to $15 an hour, which is where I think it should be, then maybe we can offer some kind of incentive to where they're still getting paid $10, $50 an hour or whatever it is, but then maybe give them a $500 scholarship if they work a minimum of 200 hours throughout the summer or something like that. It might be a way to explore a little bit. I'm just saying that we're willing as a commission to be a little flexible for next year to look at things like that. So.
We currently start our lifeguards at 11.
11, thank you.
So we're doing much better than we were 3 or 4 years ago.
Sure.
However, we all recognize that there's help wanted signs all up and down the strip and almost in front of every other business in Henderson. So, and then nationwide lifeguard recruitment is just, it's atrocious, to be honest with you. We've got, people offering bonuses. We've got senior citizen recruitment programs for certain communities. We've got a number of public pools closing just due to the staffing. They just cannot find the lifeguards to staffing. So it's not a Henderson problem. It's a nationwide problem with lifeguard recruitment. For some reason, it just seems to be a job falling out of what people want to do.
As we go through the rest of this year, if you or the department have any creative ideas that we need to consider for next year, because I don't want to get into March of next year and then try to do something because it's too late because you start your recruiting in January. Before you start your recruiting, just come to us with whatever ideas that you might have to make that job more attractive, short of something unreasonable, and allow us to help you because, keeping that pool open for the entire season is something we just haven't been able to do for a while.
We only got one, and when I grew up, we had about 5. And I am kind of concerned why we can't handle just one. Don, is it correct me? Can't we offer incentive hiring bonuses?
You cannot offer bonuses to biggest board employees. There are incentive pay programs that are now being rolled off in the state, but that's a little different than what Mayor stated.
Well, like you said, I think we could figure something out to attract some people some kind of way. Because we all have our one pool in Henderson, be able to function and open, especially for the baby pool. I don't know about that. Did we get started late, or we didn't offer, get our heads together enough to make sure that when this weekend opens up, that we open up fully? And I don't think opening up the big pool and there's a bunch of little babies that are not going to be able to go to the pool. I'm concerned about that. I'm like you though too, Mayor. We probably should have got started much earlier, coming up with something.
Well, we can for next year,
Yeah.
One thing I think should be said here today is while a lot of our local youth seek summer employment, we do have competition outside of Henderson for our youth to work. While I will not mention who our competition is, it's a reality that I've learned that a lot of kids go in that direction for summer work. So it's like the normal workforce. It's a competition and struggle to keep people here to work, whether they're kids or not. So this problem is not going away.
And I'm kind of like the mayor, $11 an hour. I think that $15 an hour for a lifeguard probably needs to be where it needs to be. I'm just,
That's the route you're gonna have to go, because how many hoops do you have to jump through to be a lifeguard?
Yeah, that's one of the differences between being a
Yeah.
lifeguard and some of the other things. You
15,
have to have the
16-year-old
Red Cross
kids, they're not
certification,
gonna do
which
that.
is,
If you put a roadblock in front of them,
Yeah.
they're gonna turn around and go backwards, so.
But we do pay for it.
we do reimburse them, yes,
But it's
if
still-
you get the Red Cross.
Still time that they have to go,
Commitment, yeah.
extra steps they have to make, so you're gonna fight that worse than you
Mm.
are to pay, so if you jump the pay up enough, you'll keep some kids here.
Let's go ahead and jump it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna ask why we couldn't.
I mean, I
Is it too late, is the question. I mean, we're here in mid-May, do most kids have jobs by now? And can you get them trained? That's the
Yeah.
better question.
That's the challenging part of it, is getting them trained and getting them through all of the third-party checks that are required because they're working with kids and they're in a safety-sensitive position.
How long is
Um,
the background part?
For the average, when we are doing from our interview to where we send the request to HR to when they're actually, all the checks have come back and they get hired, it's generally 2 to 3 weeks to get somebody from walking in the door saying, I want to be a lifeguard, filling out the application, asking them the interview questions, and starting the process. And that's if 3 weeks was our quickest, some of our quicker ones that were already certified lifeguards.
And we also have Mark Simmons and Megan in the audience, if y'all have anything to add. Y'all lived and breathed that. Mark has for 20-plus years, and Megan had it for at least a year, so I think they recognize some of the issues to keep the pool open, and scheduling for vacations. That's another
Yeah.
thing. A lot of these
Mhm.
kids will take a week or 2 weeks off during the summer, so
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons you have to overhire to.
It's a
fill
big
the gap.
challenge. It's, when we have 6 lifeguards to operate, we normally try to have 12 on staff because we have to work around those kids' schedules. And it's not just vacations, it's soccer camp and kids going to cheerleading competitions and vacation Bible school and family vacations. And so when we have 12 lifeguards on our to pull from, normally we can have about 6 to 8 available each week.
We're going to have a budget work session next Tuesday. Between now and next Tuesday, do you mind to work with Megan and Mark? And if there are any items that you'd like to see us do now, let us know. I particularly like the idea of doing the if we can arrange some kind of incentive for a minimum hours worked throughout the summer. Because then you have a better chance of them wanting to work that many hours and keeping the pool open for the entire season instead of having to shut it off at the end of July like we have been having to do. But if we need to raise the pay in lieu of that, or whatever you all might recommend, we're definitely willing to do something. I hate to do something in haste today at the meeting, but next week we'll have a budget work session. If we need to do something, if you can bring that to us next week, we'd love to take a look at it.
Now, Trace, do we rent that pool out? Are we capable of renting that pool out at night?
We can and we do. With the lifeguards we have on staff, due to the fact that the rentals are a limited number of people and there are parents and guardians available and other management there. Yeah,
So we have enough lifeguards,
yeah, we can
so-
staff it much less than when we just invite the public.
So that'd be another source of revenue if we had enough lifeguards.
Yes, yes.
So you could offset the cost somewhat if you rented it out a lot more. Just if you had the right labor.
Well, I mean, even if you didn't rent it out,
No.
just having the baby pool and the slide open
You gotta
increases
pay.
the amount of people that would be coming, and that would increase your revenue stream also. So yeah, it'll pay for itself, assuming we could get it fully staffed. And I understand it is a nationwide issue, and it has been since pre-COVID, for goodness sake. The last 5 or 6 years been an issue. But if you guys don't mind, just put your head together. Let us know what your thoughts are on what we can do to make it easier for you to recruit next year and potentially on into the latter half of this season, and give us a chance to do that for you.
I think
Yeah.
if we could partner with some of the school system, with the seniors that's gonna go to college coming in fall, and like you was talking about, at the end of so many hours work, that they could take up some money to go to college, that would be ideal.
I really like, I haven't seen somebody do that before, but if that's legal, that might be something nice.
Because I know a lot of college kids going to college, they're gonna need some money.
Yeah.
So that would be nice if we
$500
could.
to get you a book, yeah.
One, yeah.
Two,
To
you
get
get
you
you
one
two
book.
books, come on.
Maybe two.
Yes, ma'am. If you don't, I'm so sorry, can you come up to the podium?
Yeah.
As we broadcast the meetings, and so we have to make sure they can hear you.
The Humane Society works with Ginger Stovall a lot. She does the Honor Society for the high school. We actually just had an event with them where they raised money for the Humane Society. And I'm sure some of those kids could jump in and be lifeguards, or you could prepare them for next year. But Ginger Stovall is the one that I work with to get all the volunteer hours and some of the kids involved in the community. So.
Gotcha.
Trace, I think that'd be a good avenue to tap into. 'Cause
Yeah.
some of those seniors going to college are gonna need a lot of money.
Yeah, we've recruited through several different clubs and groups and high school students and job fairs specifically aimed at teens and youth. And it's
Still well.
it's as Commissioner Thomas said, that extra hoop of becoming a lifeguard and requiring that prior to employment is it drives some of them to go to an easier route where you can easily go to a Walmart or a McDonald's or something and walk in on a Monday and start on a Tuesday.
Is the user, are we still getting, we're tracking the number of people using the pool? Has that number stayed the same or increased or decreased?
I would have to get the records to get the exact numbers, but it has not decreased much, if any, and it may have increased slightly over the past few years. The city pool is being the only public pool in town, which is one of the reasons we tried so hard, and we will open it this season, is that we get a lot of kids that, that just don't have the ability to go to the country club or Aqua City or some other swimming pool in the area.
Which is even more reason for us to raise the pay and get it open and
Yeah.
operating.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's an important community amenity, and
Want a lifeguard job?
hey, hey,
Oh, there we go.
hey.
Yes, one more.
Good deal. Well, thank you for the update. We've got to get through the rest of the meeting, but thank you so much. I think if anything, what we've learned is that the amenity is very important to the community, and it's very important to the commission. And so whatever you all need to make sure that we can staff it and open it and close it on time, we are willing to work with you to get that done.
All right.
All right? Thank you, sir.
To push on quickly, the next item on your agenda is the corporate park committee discussion. At our next regular meeting on the 28th, I will ask that a special call meeting of that committee to meet and discuss the restrictive covenants in the corporate park development that the city put in place when that property was purchased. And the reason for our discussion on the restrictive covenants will be due to an existing industry who needs to expand their operation, and some of the restrictive covenants in place now would prohibit those improvements. So just wanted to give you that information. The next thing, I'm going to ask our intern to come up here because I want to see the expression on his face.
Oh, yeah, this
to
is
give
his...
y'all an update. As y'all are aware, and what I'm going to do is ask you to hand these out to each of the commission, but I want you to keep one of them, and then I'm going to ask you a question as an engineer. So this is a test for this young man. But what I want to tell y'all is y'all are all aware that Clay Street Bridge over Canoe Creek was closed suddenly last week.
By the state.
By the state. If you don't mind, stand at the podium, but while you're standing there, I want you to look at that picture and tell me as an engineer, do you see a problem with that picture?
I do.
Okay. So with that being said, my first question to you would be, would you drive over that bridge?
Probably not.
Okay, so that comes from a college-educated engineer who's yet to graduate but recognizes the problem with that bridge. So with that being said, the state did the right thing, closed it down immediately.
Now, before you move on, can you explain whose responsibility it is to take care of and inspect the bridge and why the state closed it down.
I will. So Kentucky 812
Can he sit
is
down?
also known as Clay Street.
You want him to sit down?
No, I want him to stand there.
Sorry,
Make him
I
nervous.
tried saving you, my
I
bad.
want to make him nervous. Learning experience, okay?
Of course.
So with that being said, the state biannually is supposed to inspect all bridges, okay? It is obvious that what you see in that picture, I don't know what it looked like the last time it was inspected. However, it was of grave concern when they inspected it this time that it had to be closed. Thus, that is a state-owned bridge, okay? I will also tell you that bridge was slated for replacement this fall. And we've been working with the Transportation Cabinet to coordinate the closure of this bridge in conjunction with the I-69 work. And if y'all are aware, the bridge over the current Pennyrile gets taken out sometime in the near future, okay? And we did not want both bridges to be out at the same time due to traffic. With that being said, the Transportation Cabinet has advised us that they have declared an emergency in this bridge replacement being already designed and right-of-way has been acquired, that they will bid this out in June. And they've not given us a firm date, but I anticipate it will take 4 to 6 months to replace this bridge and get it back open to traffic. We've also asked them to reconsider should the airline bridge or the Kentucky 812 bridge over the Pennyrile, if there's conflict with this one being closed and that one scheduled to be demoed and replaced, we ask that they delay that if they can. Because one thing we don't need right now for emergency services is to have both out. So with that being said, that's the situation at hand. If y'all, and I didn't realize that they also shut down a bridge leading from Geneva to Smith Mills on an emergency basis, so they found something wrong with it. So just to be aware, we'll keep you updated, and hopefully we'll get through this without a lot of pain to our community.
You can be seated if you want. Thank you.
Thank you for your being put on the spot.
Yeah, yeah.
The next item, which is not on your agenda, I'm going to ask Brian Williams and David Steele to come up. But one thing that we want to give you an update on our old landfill that is situated at the end of Green River Road and is bordered by Stratman Road. A little history, the city back in the early 70s had a landfill in Action Park. For y'all that probably don't remember that, but it caught on fire one time and officially got closed, and the city opened a new landfill in the early 70s at the end of Green River Road. Well, that landfill has not been in use, Brian, for how long? Since the 90s, early 90s?
Early 90s, yeah.
So that landfill was constructed and built according to the regulations back in the 70s. The closure of that landfill, Brian, help me, is based upon the standards at which time that we went to close it. However, y'all realize there's never anything such as final closure, correct?
Yes. There, what you're saying, though, I guess statewide, when the permits changed in the mid-90s, whoever owned landfills, they had the choice to upgrade their residential waste landfills to meet the new standards, or they could do something different, which the city chose to go to a residual landfill and discontinue the residential waste. So that's kind of what happened there. And we moved into the CD&D portion of it.
So with that being said, about a year and a half ago, Brian had a request by the state to begin installing, would you call them monitoring wells or vents?
There were vents is what, and we chose to do that ahead of that. So we were already installing some vents, and it just lets the methane gas escape from the cap that's there.
So as y'all are all aware, anytime you have waste in water, decomposition occurs, and the byproduct of that is methane gas. So over time, as that landfill decomposes, the methane gas is generated. So let's fast forward to the last several months of what has transpired, and one of the two of you sort of take the lead of how we're dealing with these ongoing concerns.
Okay, to add to what you said, we were putting the passive vents in, so that's just the candy cane type vent that lets the gas escape. So then the state asked that we changed and put in more permanent fixed methane monitoring stations. So we also added those in. So in the past, in our original permit, we had 2 points on the backside of the landfill where the residents are that we would check our methane, for years and years. So the state decided that we needed to upgrade that, so we went back and put in 12 methane monitoring points now all the way around the perimeter of the landfill. So we did that, and then at that point we started getting some methane reads from some of those points. And then in turn, the state required us to do more as far as mediation of the methane gas that's showing up. So that's started the process. So with our consulting companies and the state, we've worked together on coming up with a plan to take care of this. And it's not going to be a short-term fix. It's going to take, it didn't get this way overnight, and it's going to take a long time for it to dissipate. So at that point now, David he's been going out every day with the contractors that's been putting the things in and doing the checks. So I'll let him tell you kind of what we're doing currently to get you up to speed on that. But that's kind of how we stand on that.
So right now we've put in roughly 302 cutoff trenches is what they call it, and it's basically a trench, kind of like a French drain system that has those candy cane shaped methane vents in it as well, except it has a rock base in the bottom where the gas can travel through and come out. They've put in 2 of those along the back side of the landfill. They're roughly 300 to 400 feet in length. And then I think they've added 4 or 5 more short trench vent systems that are about 35 to 25, 35 foot a piece there. So we're trying to get that gas alleviated so that it doesn't migrate off the property.
Also, David, can you tell the Board of Commissioners what you do daily and what we've agreed in our partnership with the Division of Waste and in
Sure.
conjunction with their consultants?
So for the human safety aspect of it, we are going out daily and taking methane readings on all the properties adjoining the landfill along Green River Road there. We're also taking monitoring points. There's 3 or 4 in question that we submit to the state twice a week. And then we put a progress report together for them once a week that tells them the construction progress and the monitoring of all those homes and wells.
And I think it's also to be noted that each of the adjoining property owners are fully aware
Yes.
of what we're doing. We've communicated with them.
They all have. We've installed methane monitors in all the homes that border the property there, just for the human safety aspect of it.
And I guess one comment I would like to make is I want to thank both Brian and David for being at the forefront of getting ahead of this and working with the state regulators, and as well as with support from our consultants. We're being very proactive about this, and If we should have any additional information that is of concern, we'll bring it back to the Board of Commissioners. But the last thing I'll probably say, what we've discussed today is just inherent to owning a landfill. And anywhere you go in this country, you can notice a landfill either due to its height or due to the candy canes, as Brian and David have described. It's just the way to dispose of the methane gas.
And you're correct, it's not just us, it's all the landfills that are going through these same issues.
Thank you all for staying on top of it. Anybody have any questions or comments for Brian or David?
No, appreciate all y'all's
Thanks for being
work
proactive.
on it.
Yeah.
I think we all have the most confidence in how y'all have handled everything. Well, just that, but, throughout your time here at the city, so we know you'll do that well as well. Thanks.
Good deal. Thank you all very much.
That's all I have.
All right. We do have need for executive session. Before we do, we're going to go through the commissioners' reports. Commissioner Thomas, do you have anything today?
Summerfest this Saturday.
Summerfest is this
Yes,
Saturday.
it is.
Wait, is it Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
All right. Commissioner Pruitt.
Oh, no.
Commissioner Witt.
Nothing today.
Commissioner Bowles. All right. I don't have anything either. We do have need for executive session, and we will not be coming back with any kind of action as a result of the executive session. We have a motion?
I move this commission go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.8101 subsection G for discussion regarding the potential siting of a business, and pursuant to KRS 61.8101 subsection C for discussion of proposed litigation against the city.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We are going to stay in here for our executive session, so if you're not involved in that executive session, if you wouldn't mind to clear the room, please.